A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to attend the TedX Boston conference, a local version of the big TED conference that's held each year in Long Beach. This version of the conference was designed specifically to celebrate creativity and innovation in New England. And so between the presenters and the audience, it brought together a wide range of folks from academics and scientists to creatives, so artists and performers, to business folks, consultants and venture capitalists and representatives of major technology companies and folks in small and medium businesses for presentations. There were about 27 presentations during the day, and then also for networking. There were a lot of opportunities for folks from very different fields to get together and compare notes. One presentation that I thought particularly interesting was given by a guy named Seth Prebosh, who's actually a fellow alumni of my high school. Seth founded a company called Scavenger, which is essentially a mobile game company. And what they do is they build apps that are specifically treks and challenges for use by, say, retailers or organizations with their customers. So, for example, they had a TedX Boston trek in place, which allowed you to see different sites around the TedX Boston location, meet different TedX Boston attendees, and get points for completing all these tasks. And as you got more points, you got greater rewards, badges, things like that. It's very addictive. You just start to play with it, and immediately you see you've got a challenge to complete, and it's exciting. Your eyes sort of light up, and then you realize, oh gosh, I'm already giving in. I already like this. And it really, speaks to the addictive nature of challenges that we all, just have to get something accomplished or solve that problem that's put to us. During Seth's presentation, he talked about 4 of the 7 pillars, really game dynamic pillars behind his company Scavenger. And he joked that he would only talk about 4 of the 7 because he wanted to end the conference with at least some remaining competitive advantage. I wanted to talk about those 4 today briefly, and then also reference really parallels that I see between them and disruptive innovation, specifically something we do here called jobs to be done. I think there's a great parallel, and it helps to explain why some of these game dynamics are so powerful. So the first one that Seth mentioned is called the appointment dynamic. Really what that is that to achieve a reward, you have to do a certain thing at a certain time. So you complete a certain task at a certain specific time and you get a reward for that. He mentioned happy hour. So the fact that we can all go to restaurants or bars late in the afternoon and get half-price drinks or appetizers. So we go to that bar at a certain time, and as a reward, we get discounted food or drinks. And that's a pretty powerful appointment dynamic because happy hour is a pretty compelling thing for folks to take advantage of. A lot of folks leave work early, say, just to do that. He spoke about Farmville as a great appointment dynamic, and that's the very popular app currently out there on Facebook. In Farmville, you create and really tend and grow and encourage the growth of your farm. And in Farmville, there's various tasks that you need to complete at a certain rhythm. In this case, he mentioned watering crops. So when Farmville changed the amount of time that could pass between the times you watered crops from 48 hours down to 24 hours, 70 million people, all the users of Farmville, had to adjust their schedules to make sure they got onto Farmville at least once every 24 hours. And he joked that that's more powerful than Twitter in terms of its ability to drive behavior. And he also joked that if Farmville decided to change the duration down to, say, 30 minutes, meaning you had to water your crops every 30 minutes, the economy itself might collapse because everybody would be going to Farmville so often to get that done. He also mentioned a company called Vitality, which has made a business out of solutions to encourage folks to remember to take their medication. And he joked that, well, they should really make it into a game. It's already a challenge, an appointment dynamic. Take your medication at a certain time. He said, heck, why aren't people earning points for that? So thought that was really interesting, this whole kind of notion of appointment dynamics. The second one that Seth mentioned, the second game dynamic, is really influence and status. So it's that whole notion that we all want to have higher levels of status, be it in a game or in life. He mentioned in life American Express cards, about how there's a few different versions of cards, basic cards, gold, platinum, and then there's that black card that no one has, and it makes it really unique, and you aspire to have that card. Or frequent flyer miles are a great example. You want to be gold and then platinum and then diamond or whatever it is to be shown that, hey, you've accomplished something. And this is true all over the game world with games like Modern Warfare, where you want to increase your level of skills or your level of weapons or armor. Or, for example, in World of Warcraft, you've got these games where people play for hours, 6 hours, 10 hours, just to get a higher level of status in a game that really has very limited real-life implications. I mean, if you're a level 20 in World of Warcraft, are you really better at your job? Perhaps if playing World of Warcraft is your job, but for the rest of us, it's just a diversion, yet you feel really compelled to play for it. And he mentioned grades at school. I mean, that's kind of like status. Why not, make it basically a game where you level up from, say, a B to an A, or you gain experience points, and you're raising your status. Turn that more into a game explicitly, and maybe could get more interesting for kids to play it. Another thing he mentioned that Seth talked about, another game dynamic mentioned by Seth, was really the notion of making progress, really the progression dynamic. So in the event that you are accomplishing a task and you see a status bar, LinkedIn's a great example of it, where it says, hey, you've accomplished 85% of your profile, but you've got 15% of your profile that you can continue to fill out. So there's additional information you can put in there. And every time we see this bar, we just feel like we need to complete it. And perhaps it's sort of, human nature to do it. And so that's part of Scavenger's treks and challenges, where you have these status bars of how many challenges have you completed during the course of a trek, and we all just feel compelled to complete that status bar and complete the challenge that's set out for us. And if we don't, it sort of, nags at us. So that was the third game dynamic. The fourth one that Seth talked about was communal discovery. Now, communal discovery is where a community gets together, could be a virtual community, to accomplish a task. And in this case, he mentioned Dig, and just the power of a site where folks are getting together to submit news articles or items that they think everyone would be interested in. There's a real powerful sort of that collective. Can we get together and accomplish something together? Of note, though, he mentioned how Dig in its early days had a leaderboard where if you submitted a news article and it was really popular, you'd get a bunch of points. And the more points you had, the higher up the leaderboard you'd rise. And he mentioned how the top 7 folks on that leaderboard at one point got together, started working together to try to keep themselves at the top of that leaderboard. So there was a dynamic that actually became more powerful than Dig itself, and they actually had to shut down that leaderboard. So again, this whole notion of communal discovery is, can we get people together to find something? McDonald's Monopoly, Seth mentioned, folks getting together to find a boardwalk or special pieces that are hard to find. Or the DARPA Balloon Challenge, where DARPA essentially set up 10 weather balloons around the U.S. and gave a prize to the team that could find the balloons, all balloons, the fastest. And it ended up the prize went to an MIT team that found a way to just recruit thousands of people and get them all working together to find those balloons. So again, those were 4 powerful dynamics that he, discussed. Essentially, that appointment dynamic of, do a certain task at the right time. Influence and status, which is give people a higher level of influence they can achieve, or a higher level of status. Progression dynamic, essentially complete that progress bar, get all those tasks done. And finally, communal discovery, just get everybody working together on a challenge, and that becomes really attractive in its own right. The link I wanted to make over to disruptive innovation, and specifically jobs to be done, is this. So jobs to be done, what that means is, if I've got a job to be done, there's really a pain point that I have in my life that I'm looking for a solution to address. So if I have a job to be done, such as, make more money, then I'm going to seek out opportunities that will help me address that job. Or if it's give back to the community, well, if an opportunity arises that really helps me give back to the community, then that's perhaps a suitable solution to that job. And from a jobs to be done standpoint, we really talk about 3 categories of jobs. We talk about functional jobs, help me get something done in my life that's pretty functional, task-oriented. Emotional jobs, help me feel better about myself, or help me feel a certain way about myself. And then social jobs, how do others perceive me? So if I have a social job to be done, it's accomplishing something that will get others to feel a certain way about me. And if you think about those 3 categories, functional, social, and emotional, you can make some pretty strong links, I think, back to the dynamics that Seth talked about. So from a functional standpoint, anything that's going to help us get free things, get discounts, earn more money, make more friends. There's definitely a functional dynamic to that around solving functional jobs. And jobs related to wealth, jobs related to some of the basic human needs, friendship, things like that, those are extremely strong jobs to be done. So anything you offer that allows your customers to take advantage and to solve those jobs, going to be pretty strong. Emotionally, how we feel about ourselves. If you accomplish all these tasks that are laid out to you through, say, the scavenger games, through these game dynamics, you feel good about yourself. I've accomplished solving these challenges or answering these questions or accomplishing these different tasks itself. I feel really good that I've done that. I've got increased status. I feel better about myself. Boom, you're nailing emotional jobs. And then finally, from a social job standpoint, all these challenges and treks help you convey to others just how good you are at doing certain things. You can get badges, you can get status that gets posted on Facebook or on your scavenger account, and you've been able to come back and say, hey, to others, look, I'm really good at this. I've gotten 90% of the way through the Nike trek or challenge, something like that. So there's definitely a social story there as well. I think the big takeaway from this is just how powerful these game dynamics are. You want to compete, you want to get involved without even having really a real conscious thought about it. You're drawn to complete these challenges. And if you look at them from a jobs to be done standpoint, you can see how by putting these dynamics to work for your business, you can really get customers' jobs addressed. And if you think about your business through the jobs to be done lens, and you think about what game dynamics are going to align, your goals with your customers' personal job goals, then you could have a pretty powerful combination. So I'd encourage you to go online. The TED Talks from the Boston conference are online, and you can watch Seth's talk, and you can check out Scavenger online as well. But just something cool to think about.